of that 250 million phones, probably about 180 million have internet access. But most of them are accessing the internet through a browser, and they have no OS to run an app. So the most popular music channel for MTN after ringback tones is music streaming off a Mobi site. Now I can tell you, Spotify is not building that, and Deezer's here, and they're not building that. And so the point that I wanted to get to is, in the territories that we work in, you have to build something completely different, and often it's something that the rest of the world doesn't need. I was at a meeting at one of the GSMA boards, and the guy from Verizon, either Verizon or AT&T, said, I'd asked him, why did you make these big investments? Because they were making, multi-billion-dollar investments, and they said, we've come to realize that the real problem in the world is 20 years ago, people would spend 70% of their time on their device on the telco service. Today it's down to 20, and it's moving to 10, and it's moving to 5. And basically the minute they hit the phone, they've gone somewhere else. And so the whole point was, you've got to build a big community, and you've got to keep them engaged. And so we sat back and thought about this and said, what does that mean in terms of how to build a massive digital ecosystem? Because this is what Facebook does. If you look at the number of hours people spend on Facebook and the number of people on Facebook, that's how they're winning that war. You go and look at Google, that's exactly what they're doing. So the trick is build a big community and keep them on your platform for as long as possible. That's kind of the secret to making money in this space. So we've looked at this and we've done a couple of things. The one thing we did was we said, for the smartphone world, there's a lot of use cases that don't exist. So there's no Amazon in Africa. There's no real Uber north of the Limpopo. There's no real Mr. Delivery north of the Limpopo. OLX doesn't exist in every country. There's no hotel.com. Try to book a hotel in Lagos using hotel.com. Big problem, right? Even worse in Tehran, by the way. And so when you run through this, you realize there's a whole bunch of verticals that don't exist. So what we did is we said, well, why don't we build it? So we put about 300 to 400 million euros in, and we built each of these verticals. And we built, a company called Javago, and then another company called Kamudi and Lamudi and Hello Foods and Easy Taxi, Kemu and Jumia. And then we realized we had 10 brands. So that doesn't make sense. So then earlier this year, we rebranded all of them. So today it's Jumia Mall, Jumia Marketplace, Jumia Food, Jumia Travel, Jumia Car, Jumia Home, Jumia Deals. Next month, we're launching Jumia One. So Jumia One is an app where everything that I've just described is in one app. So you never need to leave the app. You've watched that video, right? You never need to leave the app. So the trick is, you've got to build something that's so compelling that everybody goes there all the time and they stay there. Now the trick to doing that is you've got to have something really compelling. So we looked at that and we said, well, that may or may not work, and I don't know, because in our world, we're not sure who's going to win here, right? Because everybody's built these really skinny solutions. You've got a skinny app that only calls taxis. You've got another skinny app that only lets you send messages. You've got another skinny app that lets you shop. You've got another skinny app that only orders food. Well, our app is like a really fat app. It does everything in one app.
From one device. Yes.
So then we went and had a look at what we're doing in Iran. So in Iran, 2 years ago, we started a bunch of companies. We put in a couple of million euros. And we built like 10 things. And actually, we didn't know which one was going to work. And the one that worked ended up being the one that we didn't expect would work. So some of you will know that Lyft was just invested in by, I think, was it Google that just invested in Lyft? Lyft is the second biggest competitor to Uber in America. They do 1 million rides a day. And they valued at $11 billion. This afternoon I had the board meeting for our Iran e-commerce business. We did 650,000 rides yesterday. Yesterday. And most of our operation is in Tehran only. It's called Snap. Download the app and have a look at it. So we said, well, this is really working well. So we immediately took our food business, which is called Zoot Food, and we renamed it to Snap Food. Then we realized, well, wow, why don't we launch a parcel business? So we just launched Snap Box. And all of a sudden, because people were always living on the taxi hailing app, they started ordering food. Then they started shopping. So we're now changing the name of our e-commerce site in Tehran, which is called Bamila. We're going to change that to Snap Market. So we're going to end up with fewer brands, fewer apps, and coalescing that's coming. And the question is, are we going to end up with app of apps? Are we going to end up with chatbots? Or are we going to end up with AI? I don't know what the answer is. We are putting our money on one app to rule them all. You know, we're not sure whether that's right or not, but we think that's maybe where it's going to go. And so that's the one part of the secret here, right? Build communities, keep them engaged. But it's not just about buying things. It's also about buying services and buying things that I can send to you on your phone. Now, what would people buy that I could send to you on your phone? It turns out the three biggest things that people want on their phone that I could send to them that doesn't go through a warehouse, so most of our stuff requires a driver, or it requires a warehouse. What people want is music, movies, and games. So we launched a gaming business. People don't realize this, but the average age, the median age of an African today is 19. The median age in the rest of the world is like 27. So strip Africa out, we are a really, really young continent. People have money and they have time and they're young. What do they want to do? They want to play on their phones.